Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pardamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I was born in the darkest of my spiritual master of for my respected obeisance to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyet Nashprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So let us continue our discussion on Canto 1, Chapter 16. Okay, so let us begin. We were in verse number, which verse was it, Prabhu? I don't have my
book.
We
have to start 21.
21? Are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children? That one? Okay. So, anybody remembers anything?
Hey, Mataji, I remember that this chapter deals with Parikshit Maharaj ruling nicely over the world as was predicted by the astrologers, and then when he went around, he heard great things like how Krishna saved him, and he was overwhelmed because even Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was so favorable to his grandfather, and then while he was going, he sees that a Shudra is whose colleague is hurting the cow and the bull on the leg, and then the bull had only one leg, and then talked. So he's trying to find out why that he is only on one leg. So I think the bull is representing the dharma, and that's what I remember, Mataji.
Yeah. So there were some things like we heard the qualities of Maharaj Parikshit, right? That how actually he was not, before that. So it was describing about in the beginning about the rule of Parikshit Maharaj. You already spoke that. And how actually how he received the guidance of spiritual master Parikshit Maharaj. So that was the important point in the beginning verses. And then Maharaj Parikshit, he goes to conquer the world, right? And seeing the bull. So that part, it comes later. And then we saw the inquisitiveness of the sages to hear about Krishna Katha. So in that, it was mentioned in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that these topics are about politics and all that. But because they are related to Krishna, so that is why the sages are willing to hear about. Otherwise, there is no use of hearing anything which is not related to Krishna, right? It is because the devotees are always willing to lick the honey available on the lotus feet of the Lord. So they will not waste their time in hearing about something which is not valuable at all, which is not about Krishna. And it is that hearing can take us out of the cycle of birth and death, right? That's what we heard. And there was about that Yamaraj, like if we hear, then we won't, actually Yamaraj will not take us to the wrong place, but we will transcend the three modes of material nature, right? Yeah, so that is what actually, that importance of hearing was there, and we saw the sage's inquisitiveness. And then Sutta Goswami, he started speaking about Parikshit Maharaj. So we heard about the, the alertness of the king, like what is happening around us. We should be very, 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 very alert to that. And that is what Maharaj Parikshit observed, right? And then, he actually, even though he was already given all the land, all the kingdom, but he was proving himself that he is capable, right? And we discussed about how it is our responsibility. Once we get some kind of inheritance, then it's our responsibility actually to live up to that and to increase the honor and the respect and the glory of where we belong. And we discussed about how being part of Srila Prabhupada's family, ISKCON, how it is our responsibility to represent Srila Prabhupada nicely, right? And then it was very, very important section when Parikshit Maharaj goes to different places, how he hears about the glories of the Pandavas, and he himself, who was actually famous even before his own birth, and he's hearing about that, and then how he rewards all of them nicely, and how by hearing the glories of Krishna, what happens to him. He is hearing how the Pandavas, how Krishna actually served Pandavas in so many ways. And then we heard about how, because of hearing the glories of Krishna, Maharaj Parikshit actually, he became so overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord. And in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada speaks about, if we become malleable to the interest of Krishna, then we actually attract the mercy of the Lord in whatever way we desire, right? That is what how Pandavas received the mercy of the Lord, because they were completely malleable to the interest of the Lord and plan of the Lord. So that is what we discussed. So then Maharaj Parikshit, he was passing through different areas and winning and proving his prowess and hearing the glories of his forefather. And he was just, then he saw this, the dharma, which is representing the bull. He saw the bull whose 3 legs have gone, and the cow, which represents the earth. The condition of cow was so bad that there were tears in her eyes, and her luster has completely gone. So Dharma, the bull, he asked cow that why is her condition like that. And then we discussed that when we see those kind of things in our own self or in people around us, then we can ask these kind of questions. And similar kind of questions were asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj when Arjuna was very morose in chapter 14, right? 14 and 15, there we heard that. So now we can continue. Yeah, so like the 4 regulative principles we heard about in the we heard about the importance of Brahmanical culture. That was the take home point for us, right? Brahmanical culture. And what else was there? Yeah, so now let's go to verse number 10, no, 21, sorry. All right, so let's begin. Someone would like to read verse 21. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. Arakshayamana stri urvi balan sochiyastho purusade vartana vacham devi brahmakule kukarmanya brahmane rajakule kulagrayan. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons, or are you unhappy because the goddess of learning is being handed by Brahmanas, addicted to act against the principles of religion? Or are you sorry to see that the Brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahminical culture? In the age of Kali, women and children, along with Brahmanas and cows, will be grossly neglected and left unprotected. In this age, strict connections with the women will render many women and children uncared for. Circumstantially, the women will try to become independent of the protection of man, and marriage will be performed as a matter of formal agreement between man and woman. In most cases, the children will not be taken care of properly. The Brahmanas are traditionally intelligent men, and thus they will be able to pick up modern education to the topmost rank. But as far as moral and religious principles are concerned, they shall be the most fallen. Education and bad character go ill together, but such things will run parallel. The administrative heads as a class will condemn the 10 of Vedic wisdom and will prefer to conduct as so-called secular state, and the so-called educated Brahmanas will be purchased by such
Unscrupulous.
Sorry, Mataji, yes. Unscrupulous administrator. Even a philosopher and writer of many books on religious principles may also accept an exalted post in a government which denies all the moral codes of the Shastras. The Brahmanas are specifically restricted from accepting such service. But in this age, they will not only accept service, but they will do so even if it is of the meanest quality. These are some of the symptoms of Kali age, which are harmful to the general welfare of human society. Hari Bol.
You want to say something?
You go ahead, Mataji.
No, something that might have struck you.
Oh, yes, Mataji. So so it's like in this, in Kali Yuga, women, children, and Brahmanas and will be grossly neglected and unprotected.
Yeah. So basically, Brahmanas, like in Brahminical culture, basically women, children, Brahmanas, cow, and people, they should be protected. They should be given proper protection, right? But when the society is moving away from the Brahminical culture, then everything goes away. So women and children, and then Brahmanas, they are not acting like Brahmanas. Brahmanas, what is the Patan part from Yajan? That is the duty of the Brahmanas, right? So meaning that goddess of for learning is Mother Saraswati, which is education, meaning knowledge. So that actually the Brahmanas, they are not doing that properly with religious principles, according to religious principles. And then and they actually, so actually they are supposed to guide the Kshatriyas, the ruling parties, but here they are just doing the other way around thing. Instead of giving them guidance, they are actually the shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahminical culture. So Kshatriya, meaning all Varnashram system, is completely messed up, and the Brahminical culture is also completely messed up. That is what is defined in this particular verse, and Prabhupada has mentioned that multiple times. So how the society is degrading. But and I remember in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada writes that, okay, in Kali, then people can say, okay, there are certain things that are going to happen in Kali Yuga anyways, so why are we so worried, right? But then Prabhupada gives that example of this, that, okay, if we know that it's going to rain, then we can carry an umbrella, right? Prabhupada gives that example multiple places. So we know that this is going to happen, but we need to transcend the modes of material nature. We need to transcend this kind of happening that is happening in Kali Yuga. So we take shelter of the dharma which Krishna has given. And in this Kali Yuga that we heard in previous purports, which is the Sankirtan Yagna, chanting of the holy names of the Lord, and this Bhagavatam, the 5 main processes of devotional service. What is that? Chanting the holy name, Bhagavatam, association of devotees, worshipping the deities, and residing in the holy dham, right? So these are the 5 that we should take shelter of, no matter what is going around. We should be alert, and we should guard ourselves against, like, we discussed that point of like, okay, what is around me? In the morning we do our sadhana so that we can face the opposition nicely, right? That is our armor. Our sadhana is our armor. All right, so let's move on to the next verse. Someone?
I can say, Matai.
Yes, Prabhu.
Kim Shatra Bandhun Kalino Pastran Rastrani Vatir Avaropitani Itastato Vasana Panavasa Snana Vaya Yomukha Jivalokam. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The so-called administrators are now bewildered by the influence of the age of Kali, and they have put all state affairs into disorder. Are you now lamenting this disorder? Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, etc. And they are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere. Are you unhappy because of this? Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There are some necessities of life on a par with those of the lower animals, and they are eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. These polity demands are both for the human beings and the animals, but the human beings has to fulfill such desires, not like animals, but like a human being. A dog can mate with a bitch before the public eyes without hesitation, but a human being does so. But if a human being does so, the act will be considered a public nuisance, and the persons will be criminally prosecuted. Therefore, for the human being, there are some rules and regulations, even for fulfilling common demands. The human society avoids such rules. The Roman society avoids such rules and regulations when it is bewildered by the influence of the age of Kali. In this age, people are indulging in such necessities of life without following the rules and regulations. And this deterioration of social and moral rules is certainly lamentable because of the harmful effects of such beastly behavior. In this age, the fathers and the guardians are not happy with the behavior of their wards. They should know that so many innocent children are victims of bad association avoided by the influence of the age of Kali. We know from Srimad Bhagavatam that Ajamil, an innocent son of a Brahmana, was walking down the road and saw a Sudra pair sexually embracing. This attracted the boy, and later on the boy became a victim of all such debaucheries. From a pure Brahmana, he fell down to the position of wretched urchin, and it was all due to bad association. There was but one victim like Ajamil in those days, but in the age of Kali, the poor innocent students are daily victims of cinemas which attract men only for sex indulgence. The so-called administrators are all untrained in the affairs of Kshatriya. The Kshatriyas are meant for administration, as the Brahmanas are meant for knowledge and guidance. The word Kshatra Bandhu refers to the so-called administrators or persons promoted to the post of the administrators without proper training by culture or tradition. Nowadays, they are promoted to such exalted posts by the votes of the people who are themselves fallen in the rules and regulations of life. How such people select a proper man? How can such people select a proper man when they are themselves fallen in the standard of life? Therefore, by the influence of the age of Kali, everywhere, politically, socially, and religiously, everything is topsy-turvy. And therefore, for the sane men, it is all regrettable.
Yeah, Prabhu, you want to say something?
Yeah, so first of all, we have been given rules and regulations, the four necessities of life: eating, sleeping, faring, and mating. And even animals have that, human beings have that, but human beings have rules and regulations, which we are governed by. Animals are not. But unfortunately, in the age of Kali, the people they've fallen down and ignoring those rules and regulations, and it's causing havoc. And then the Kshatriyas, people, the Kshatriyas are supposed to be administrators, but nowadays, Sudras are promoted to the Kshatriya. They don't know what they're doing, and the whole society is in disarray. And we've given here a very nice thing about how we should avoid non-devotee association, or try to avoid any anything which is against spiritual life. Ajamil was a pure Brahmana, but just by seeing the union of these two Sudras, he became fallen and he lost all his Brahminical culture. So for us, it's a big lesson that anything which is detrimental to our spiritual life, we should avoid. Otherwise, we can become victims of this. And the best way to do this is keep in association of devotees. So that way, even if you are somehow falling down or having a situation where the devotees can help you pull out of it. Otherwise, on your own, it's going to be extremely difficult. And finally, the age of influence of Kali is all everywhere, and how it's taking how the common people, because of the age of Kali, they are falling victims to this age of Kali by again unwanted things like cinemas, which have nothing but nuisance showing on them. TV, you turn on the TV, there are 500 channels, and none of them is really anything good for you, and it's always nonsense going on. So yeah, that's all I can say, Mataji.
Yeah, so I am thinking about the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, right? So Krishna says, even though he has no duty to perform, but he's performing to be an example, right? So all of us, we all need leaders, need to follow somebody, right? Everybody has some of their role models. So that is what actually, because if leaders are not good, then what will the public be? And even in 1st chapter, when Arjuna gave the reason of elderly people dying, all the culture will be gone and the women will become adulterated, right? So all that is happening now. We are seeing that, and this Varna Shankara and all this thing is kind of described here. So like while we are trying to be devotees, but we have and in 3rd chapter, Krishna says that you should do your duty, rather in a nishkam karma way, without attachment to the fruits, right? So we are trying to be devotees, but we are not pure yet. So we need to do our duty appropriately. See, because if we don't do, then all these conditions are going to happen, right? We should do our duty appropriately, but for samsiddhir haritoshanam. In first canto, second chapter, there was that verse, Atapumbir tujasreshta varan ashram vibhagsha swanushtistasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. So while we are doing our duty of varna and ashram, this should be done for the satisfaction and pleasure of Krishna. So again, the definition of bhakti, whatever we are doing, we are all of us are affected by age of Kali. We don't have proper leaders. We don't have proper rules, regulations, but we are protected by the four regulative principles and the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. We are protected by all that, as Prabhu rightly said. So we need to have that good association and follow. We will be able to follow the rules and regulations only when we are guided by appropriate association. And that is why in Nectar of Instruction, 2 places Rupa Goswami says, what is that? Atyahara paryasascha prajalpo niyamagra jan sanghascha lolyam cha shadvir bhaktir vinashyati. And then in the next verse positively, he says, in the positively also says that, what is that? Utsaha nishchaya dharya tat karma parvartanat sanga tyaga stovrite shadvir bhakti prasidhati. So sanga tyaga means we need to give up the association of undesirable people, right? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say, asatsang tyag ye Vaishnavachar. So one should give up the association of non-devotees, or which is not favorable for us. Means it's not that we will not meet people, but we meet people, but we don't take their association, but we give our association to them. All right, so let's move on to the next verse, 23.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Thank you. Yatvambate bhuri paravatra pratvaratas kratavatarasya harer dhartiri anantarahitasya smrati visarasta karmani nirvana vilambitani. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. O Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari incarnated himself as Lord Sri Krishna just to unload your heavy burden. All his activities here are transcendental and they cement the path of liberation. You are now bereft of his presence. You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence. The activities of the Lord include liberation, but they are more realizable than the pleasure derived from nirvana or liberation. According to Srila Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the word used here is nirvana vilambitani, that which minimizes the value of liberation. To attain nirvana liberation, one has to undergo a severe type of tapasya austerity. But the Lord is so merciful that he incarnates to diminish the burden of the each. Simply by remembering such activities, one can defeat the pleasure derived from nirvana and reach the transcendental abode of the Lord to associate with him, eternally engaged in his blissful loving service. Hari Bol.
Yeah, you want to say something, Mataji?
Yeah, so here the transcendental activities of the Lord are more powerful than the liberation. And like if someone remember the transcendental activities of the Lord, they can go back to God and engage in the pure devotional service of the Lord, like Janma Karma Chamiti. And here they say Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, will incarnate, and that way it will unload your heavy burden.
Yeah. So the importance of direct, serving Krishna is more than just getting liberation, right? That is what is described here, and that remembering the Lord. And how can we remember the Lord? If we hear and chant properly, then only we can remember, right? Without hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord and his names and pastimes, we cannot remember him. Yeah. Kokila Mataji, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, Mataji, I'm confused on the word Hari incarnated as Lord Krishna.
1 second. Where?
The first line, Mataji, on the translation.
Oh, Hari, yeah. Oh, Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of God, Hari, incarnated himself as Lord Krishna just to...
But it's not incarnation, right, Mataji? It's avatar.
Yeah, he appears. He is avatar himself. He's not avatari, but here it's just used like Krishna descended as Krishna. Hari descended as Krishna. No, it's not like, it's fine. Means he appeared. Basically, he appeared. That is the context Prabhupada is using the word incarnated.
Oh, okay, Mataji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I have another question. This
Yeah.
nirvana, is that, I think there is a difference between nirvana and liberation, right? There is nirvana, that which is not, right? That is...
No, nirvana,
material.
So the liberation in the terms of impersonalist is getting rid of the material conception of life, right? And becoming merged into the body of Krishna, meaning in the effulgence of the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. So actually that is nirvana. But for a devotee, liberation means engaging in the service of the Lord. That is called Savrupena Vyavasthiti, means establishing ourselves in our relationship with Krishna, whatever is the rasa, those 5 primary rasas, right? Either a friend or friend or parent or servant or the Madhya rasa, right? Any of those. So that is the real liberation for a devotee. So, but otherwise there are like this, what is that? Sayuja Mukti. So that is what a devotee never wants. Yeah.
Mataji, do we really, most of the times, I think Buddhists use this word nirvana, no? We usually use, devotees use, I don't know. They will not use this.
Nirvana, no. Yeah, but we can use it in appropriate way. Means getting rid of the material conception of life and establishing ourselves in our relationship with Krishna. That is it.
And I think Buddhists use nirvana in the context of like you're in total peace now. Everything is void in just total peace. That's why right.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. All right. So should we move on to the next verse, 24?
Yeah, I can read my Idam mama chakshva tavadi moolam vasundare yen vikarshitasi kalen vate balinam baliyasa surakim rittamam saubhagam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations by which you have been reduced to such a weak state. I think that the powerful influence of time, which conquers the most powerful, might have forcibly taken away all your fortune, which was adored even by the demigods. Purport, by the grace of the Lord, each and every planet is created fully equipped. So not only is this earth fully equipped with all the riches for the maintenance of its inhabitants, but also when the Lord descends on the earth, the whole earth becomes so enriched with all kinds of opulences that even the denizens of heaven worship it with all affection. But by the will of the Lord, the whole earth can at once be changed how can do and undo a thing by his, he can do and undo a thing by his sweet will. Therefore, no one should consider himself to be self-sufficient or independent of the Lord. Here again, Parikshit Maharaj is asking,
No, the bull, Dharma is asking.
Dharma is asking Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Dharma is asking the Mother Earth that is she in a tribulation because her riches have been reduced? And in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining beautifully that when the Lord comes, everything is in an abundance. In even when he created any planet, it's in abundance. But when the Lord leaves or whenever he wishes, those abundant things could be reduced. So like we are seeing in this time of Kali, that we have scarcity of so many things, the scarcity of food in certain places. So that's what we are seeing in this age of Kali, and that's what Dharma is inquiring.
Yeah. So basically, and in the, like, he's attributing it to the influence of time, that it is the nature that over a period of time things deteriorate, right? So that is what he is saying there. So meaning actually there is not any external cause, but it's the time. And the main point here in the purport is, but by the will of the Lord, the whole earth can at once be changed. He can do and undo a thing by his sweet will. Therefore, no one should consider himself to be self-sufficient or independent of the Lord, right? So that is the most important part. Okay, let's move on to the next verse 25. Somebody wants to read? Dharani vacha Bhavan hi ved tat sarvam yanmam dharmanu prachasi chaturbhir vartasena padaer lok sukhaval valahe. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The earthly deity in the form of a cow thus replied to the personality of religious principles in the form of a bull, O Dharma, whatever you have inquired from me shall be known to you. I shall try to reply to all those questions. Once you too were maintained by your four legs, and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord. Purport: the principles of religion are laid down by the Lord himself, and the executor of such laws is Dharamraj or Yamaraj. Such principles work fully in the age of Satya Yuga. In the Treta Yuga, they are reduced by a fraction of 1/4. In the Dwapar Yuga, they are reduced by 1/2. And in Kali Yuga, they are reduced to 1/4, gradually diminishing to 0 point. And then devastation takes place. Happiness in the world depends proportionately on the maintenance of religious principles, individually and collectively. So this is to be noted. The best part of valor is to maintain the principles despite all kinds of odds. Thus, one can be happy during the span of life and ultimately return to Godhead. So basically, what it is, Mother Cow, Mother Earth is speaking. And so what is she saying? That if all the four legs of religion exist, all the religious principles are there, then everything can be happy. Otherwise, there is no happiness. So that is what is described in the purport also, that if we follow the religious principles ordained by the Lord, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat parnitam, right? If we do that, then what happens is, then everything is all happy. So here, happiness in the world depends proportionately on the maintenance of the religious principles individually and collectively. So if we follow religious principles, what is that? If we protect dharma, dharma will protect us, right? If we don't, then it won't. So that is what it is. So we should follow for us, we have kindly been given the 4 regulative principles, which is representing actually the 4 legs of this cleanliness, truthfulness, austerity, and mercy, right? So all those 4 principles that we have, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, actually are parallel to those 4 legs of the dharma. All right, so let's move on. This is a big one. Yeah, so let's see, maybe we won't be able to complete the purport, but let's try. So someone would like to read?
I can read Mataji.
Principles, yes.
Satyam, Sausham, Daya, Kantis,
Shantis.
Daya, Shantis, Tyaga, Santosha, Arjavam, Samodamastapa, Samyam, Titikshoparet, Strutam, Jnanam, Viraktir, Aishwaryam, Sauryam, Tejo, Balam, Smriti, Swatahyam, Kaushalam, Kantir, Kantir, Dairyam, Mardavam, Evacha, Pragalpyam, Prasrayah, Silam, Saha, Oja, Balam, Bagaha, Gambhiryam, Stairyam, Aschikyam, Kirtirmano, Nahan Kritiha, Ete Kanche cha Bhagavan Nitya Yatra Mahagunaha, Prathya Mahatvam Ichabir Naviyanti Sma Karkichit, Tenaham Guna Patrena Srinivasena Sampratam, Soshami Rahitam Lokam, Papmana Kalinekshitam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In him resides truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's unhappiness, the power to control anger, self-satisfaction, straightforwardness, steadiness of mind, control of the sense organs, responsibility, equality, tolerance, equanimity, faithfulness, knowledge, absence of sense enjoyment, leadership, chivalry, influence, the power to make everything possible, the discharge of proper duty, complete independence, dexterity, fullness of all beauty, serenity, kind-heartedness, ingenuity, gentility, magnanimity, determination, perfection in all knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of enjoyment, joyfulness, immovability, fidelity, fame, worship, pridelessness, being, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, eternity, and many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separated from Him. That personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Sri Krishna has now closed his transcendental pastime on the face of the earth. In his absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere. So I'm so sorry to see this condition of existence. Purport. One paragraph I'll read, Mataji.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Even if it were possible to count the atoms after smashing the earth into powder, Still, it would not be possible to estimate the unfathomable transcendental qualities of the Lord. It is said that the Lord Anantadeva has tried to expound the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord with his numberless tongues, and that for the numberless years together it had been impossible to estimate the qualities of the Lord. The above statement of the qualities of the Lord is just to estimate his qualities as far as human being is able to see him. But even if it is so, the above qualities can be divided into many subheadings. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the third quality, intolerance of another's unhappiness, can be subdivided into protection of the surrendered souls and well-wisher for the devotees and well-wisher of the devotees. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord states that he wants every soul to surrender unto him only. He assures everyone that if one does so, he will give protection from the reaction of all sins. Unsurrendered soul are not devotees of the Lord, and thus is no particular protection for everyone in general. For the devotees, he has all good wishes, and for those who are actually engaged in loving service, transcendental service of the Lord, he gives particular attention. He gives direction to such pure devotee to help them discharge their responsibilities on the path back to Godhead. By equality, 10, Lord is equally kind to everyone, as the sun is equally distributing his rays over everyone. Yet, there are so many who are unable to take advantage of the sun rays. Similarly, the Lord says that surrendering unto him is a guarantee for all the protection from him. But unfortunate persons are unable to accept this proposition, and therefore they suffer from all material miseries. So even though the Lord is equally well-wishing to everyone, the unfortunate living being, due to bad association only, is unable to accept his instructions in toto, and for this the Lord is never to be blamed. He is called the well-wisher for the devotees only. He appears to be partial to his devotees, but factually the matter rests on the living beings to accept or reject equal treatment by the Lord.
So you want to say something?
Mataji, they have clearly Srila Prabhupada is describing 40 qualities here, but I think he has 63, right, Mataji?
This is Mother Earth cow is describing these qualities.
Qualities of the
Lord.
Lord. But
Yeah, in him reside. Okay, so wait, in him reside. So she is once you two were maintained by your 4 legs and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord, right? By the mercy of the Lord. And now she's describing that Lord.
right, yeah, she's describing 40 qualities.
Yeah. So this is just the high level categories of the quality, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so but it is clearly explained that this can be subdivided, and even if we can take the atoms, each atoms, that is not sufficient to describe the qualities of the Lord. And Ananta Sesha is praising the Lord for many years, but he's still not able to complete that. He's still not having enough mouths to. He has lot of, I think, 1,000. How much, Mataji? Ananta Sesha has 1,000 mouths. Yeah, 1,000 mouths. So even though he has 1,000 mouths and he's unlimitedly praising the Lord, he doesn't have enough. That is not sufficient for him to praise the Lord and his qualities. So it is really these qualities that are described as for human beings to their limited power to understand. But because they are limited, this is all we can understand. But there is no end for his qualities. He's all goodness, and he's all transcendental. And with this disappearance, the age of Kali starts to spread.
Yeah.
and that's why there is a lot of sufferings happening.
Mm.
And
And
they also talk about Lord being partial to his devotees, and he protects his devotees and he takes care of the devotees to go back home to Godhead. But the actual fact is that it's how we respond to him. But he is not actually partial. He is same like sun is distributing the light to everyone. It is not
yeah.
partial. Same
Mhm.
Lord is also very kind and very loving to everyone, but it's how we respond to him, that's where the difference is.
Yeah. So like the verse in 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, ye 11th, 4:11, ye tham satheva bhajami aham, right? That one, whatever way one surrenders to Krishna, whatever way one approaches Krishna, responds accordingly. And also this Prabhupada in the purport described this quality, which is, look at this, intolerance for another's happiness. But generally, when for people like me, it is the other way around. I cannot tolerate when somebody is happy. In Bhakti Vinod Thakur's bhajan is also, it's like that, right? हमारा जीवन सादा पापे रता ना ही कोई पुण्य रेश, right? In that bhajan, Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that when somebody is happy, I am unhappy, and when somebody is unhappy, to see the unhappiness of others, I become happy. Like that, Bhakti Vinod Thakur says. So that is the condition. But the Lord, like in that verse, the peace formula 5.29, Krishna says, Suhradam Sarva Bhutanam, right? He is the well-wishing friend of all. That quality is also described here. That is what this well-wishing friend of all means. Intolerance for another's happiness also is there in that. And Prabhupada quotes that verse of 10th chapter in this purport, the first paragraph, Tesham satat yuktanam bhajtam piti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamapyanti te, 10th chapter verse, right? If one is engaged in my devotional service, I give them direction so that they can come to me. I give them the intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamapyanti te. So that is what Krishna. So the essence is that, okay, Krishna is, who was the possessor of all these qualities, has gone. That is what Mother Earth is saying in this verse here, in these set of verses, what she is saying, that here, that the possessor of all these qualities, okay, eternally, and many other transcendental qualities which are always there, always present, is not separated. That personality of Godhead, reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Sri Krishna had now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. In his absence, the age of Kali has spread the influence everywhere. So I am sorry to see this condition of existence. But we know from the first canto, 3rd chapter, verse number what? 43, 44, that all religious principles are residing in the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Krishna, we can, and that purport Srila Prabhupada writes, we can experience the presence of Krishna in every page of Srimad Bhagavatam, but we have to be attentive to it, right? So, and whatever we associate with, that is what we get. So if we associate with Krishna through his form, name, form, qualities, and pastime, then we will also have the qualities. So any of us, if we want to actually cultivate these qualities, the only way is we associate with Krishna and those who have those qualities, like the devotees of Krishna who have these qualities, we associate with them. How? Not only just physical association, but hearing about them, reading about them, glorifying them, thinking about them, contemplating on them. That is how we get the quality of a devotee. And this is what Ramanujacharya used to say. Oh, if nothing is going in our head, so just go sit where a devotee is, a devotee of Krishna is giving class. Even if we don't understand anything, something will happen to us. That is what he would say. And he also says that if we want to cultivate any quality, then we find we read about that person who has that quality, and we think about them and we associate through Vani and we glorify those, then those qualities can be ours. So main cause of degradation Mother Earth is speaking about is because of absence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, so I think it's 8:31. So somebody wants to say anything, and we will continue tomorrow the rest of the purport. Anyone, anything?
Just the takeaways, Mataji.
Yeah, take away.
So what I from the this is like Brahmanas should not be administrators.
Mm.
Remembering God's activities can get us to Vaikuntha. That one came like Janma Karma Divyam, like
Yeah, remembrance of Krishna was there too, right? Remembrance. Yeah. Yeah, and in Haribol, Meera, ready to sleep? Haribol. Ready to sleep, Meera? No? No? Yeah, and in this one, we saw that if we want to cultivate qualities, then how we should do that, right? And the transcendental qualities of Krishna. And something that Prabhupada highlighted was that intolerant to the unhappiness of others, intolerant to the happiness, so which is like very striking. All right, anybody else quickly, 1 minute?
Prabhu, Mataji, I have one question. I was listening to Amrendra Prabhu's lecture today, one of the lecture, and he was talking about the respect and how having a not giving respect to the pure devotees can cause so much miseries. And
Yeah.
one of the thing he was talking about Krishna's son Shamba. He was Shamba, right, Mataji? Samba. Yeah, and he was acting as a pregnant woman, and he was asking, and that was caused the Yadu dynasty's destruction.
Yes.
So, is this Krishna's decision, or I was not understanding, because Krishna's immediate son, so he must be transcendental too, right, Mataji?
Yeah. So, okay. So it is in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, because Krishna, it is all orchestrated by Krishna himself. So Krishna is multiple things, because he wanted the dynasty, Yadu dynasty, to go back, and nobody else from outside could have done anything to Yadu dynasty. So this is the way Krishna planned that to happen and to teach us lessons. That is,
okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to confirm.
then there will be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, Mata, that's why I wanted to confirm. It's the own son, so he should be transcendental.
It is. Yeah, he is, but Krishna orchestrated to teach us lessons. Like, mother-in-law, if she wants to tell something to her daughter-in-law, instead of telling daughter-in-law, she will tell the daughter directly, right? So Krishna uses his close devotees and his intimate associates.
But why will he want the Yadu dynasty to be destroyed?
Okay, so the reason is because Yadu dynasty is very, very strong, and if Krishna leaves, and they would be proud of being the descendants of Krishna, and nobody would be able to do anything with them, and they would be very powerful, overpowered actually. That is why Krishna wanted to take them back. Also, because that at the time when Krishna was to descend, he told the demigods to descend, right? They were all in the Yadu, some of those were in the Yadu dynasty. So Krishna wanted them to go back to their positions. Yeah. All right, 8:35. Thank you, dear devotees, very, very much. We will continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Aravind ki jai. Vancha
Jai.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.